Chris Brown, Bills Insider, BuffaloBills.com. On the sidelines at practice, on the grass practice field, outside the Ad Pro Sports Training Center. 26 degrees, sunny skies. A little brisk out there, Chris Brown, huh? No question?
It's actually not that bad, but welcome to the frozen tundra of Field 1. Yeah, the sun is out. There is no wind, so it makes a huge difference out here. This is doable as far as I'm concerned, and it was interesting because right when some of the players broke off into position groups, offensive line coach Bobby Johnson, just over my left shoulder here, as the players came down after stretch, he told the linemen, he said, I don't want to hear that anybody's cold today. When you signed with Buffalo, you knew what you were signing up for, so let's get moving and get the blood moving.
Like that. They should put that on the walls inside the training center. No?
You knew what you signed up for. That's inspiring right there, right?
Hey, Brownie, we've started our show today talking about Josh Allen. Everybody is. You know what I found interesting, among other things, in Sean McDermott's news conference today? He essentially agreed with the contention that Josh is sort of overcorrected on the deep passes in an effort to avoid the interceptions. Did you hear that from Sean? He kind of said that, didn't he?
Well, he said he's making adjustments. I don't think he said we don't want to overcorrect. He said he's making adjustments. He had some turnovers early, and he's making adjustments so he doesn't have turnovers. He said we just have to be careful that we don't overcorrect. And so I think that's part of the conversation that's been going on with the offensive coaches and with Josh, to not overcorrect and thereby overthrow targets, which has been the problem of late when he has taken deep shots. So I think there's a balance there to be struck, and I think they're still trying to find that balance, obviously.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see in a nice day on a nice surface down in Miami whether because Murph and I have both thought on a couple of the long balls in the last 3 weeks, particularly the ones in Buffalo, it's been moving around. Once he throws it, it's not going where he's throwing it. So it'd be interesting because we've seen him do this. It's 12 months ago. He was hitting on these long balls, and now he hasn't hit a single one all season. And it's interesting to, you got to figure out a reason why.
Yeah, not one over 30 yards all year. I want to say he's 0 for 16 on those, if the number is right, if I remember it right. But I think at the same time, you have to take a look at the entire play, because there have been times where when he has missed deep, he is not thrown off a good platform, either because, there's a guy rushing him in the face. He can't step into a throw. I know distinctly the last home game, he missed on a deep shot. The pass faded and tailed inside of where his intended receiver was, and it was because he couldn't throw off a good platform. You can even look at the intended touchdown pass that was there to be had to Dawson Knox in the Cleveland game last week. While that wasn't a deep shot, it was a opening that he saw late because his progression was left to right, and then when he did go to throw, he threw more off his back foot and didn't step into the pass, and the ball died, didn't have enough zip on it to get to him in a timely fashion, and ultimately the pass is knocked down for an incompletion. So there's a lot more at work to just, hey, he's not putting enough arc on a ball to drop it over a receiver. He's not putting it on a line enough to get there early enough. There's a number of different elements at play there.
Yeah, that's my next question, and we can talk about it all we want, but there is no simple fix for this, is what you're telling me. It's not like just one thing here, one thing there. It's been a confluence of it, which makes a lot of sense given the fact that, like you said, they've been trying these things all season and haven't connected on one. It's not just one problem. It's maybe something different on all of them, or maybe 4 or 5 different things scattered about the 16 incompletions.
Yeah, maybe the way to kind of narrow it down is to just say every play is different, and different plays are going to require different things from him for everything to be right on a given play to make it happen. And that's part of the reason why those longer and deeper shots are lower percentage plays, because a few more things do have to go right to connect on a play like that. It's not impossible, but I think on the whole, you're looking to hit on about 30 to 35% of those kinds of plays, where some of the shorter to intermediate stuff, you're looking to hit at about 60% rate of success.
Hey, Chris, let's make this clear, too, and you may or may not agree. There's more to where Josh Allen needs to improve than just the deep pass, right? And I'm sure they've worked on that extensively the last couple of days, and especially today. You know what I mean?
Yeah, And I think the hardest thing to replicate in a practice setting to help a young quarterback is the decision-making post-snap. After the snap is made, either A, replicating pressure to accelerate his decision-making, or B, replicating a coverage in such a way that it changes post-snap as well. Now, you can run plays off cards all you want, but to replicate the speed at which things happen, to accelerate his internal clock, to make a decision, the right one, that much quicker, even if it's a half a second to 3/4 of a second, it's hard to duplicate out here. But I think it's part of the reason why Coach McDermott often preaches practicing as close to game speed as possible, because that not only helps out every player on the field, it chiefly helps your quarterback in his processing of what's going on out there after the snap of the ball.
I got one more question on Josh, Chris. It's big picture. It's actually our show topic, our Twitter question today. He's got 20 NFL starts now. Where do you think he is in his progression? You know, we're all impatient. We all want Josh to be a superstar, right? And it's 20 starts. He's, about almost midway. Well, he's past the midway point of his second season as a starter. You'd like to have everything, but I don't know if he's really that much off schedule about where a young quarterback should be 20 NFL starts into his career. I don't think he's lagging way behind, but I'm interested in your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think he's a little behind. To what degree? I mean, I think you can make any kind of argument you want with respect to that. But I think the facts are this. What is he, 10 touchdowns, 7 picks in terms of passing touchdowns, right? Now, I think you have to be fair, factor in his rushing touchdowns in that equation as well. But I think for the 7th pick in the draft, now into his second full season of starting, because, we're at start 21, I think this is now. I think the production in terms of scoring and things of that nature is lagging. To what degree, I think you can, like I said, make any argument you want. But I think the production, there has to be an uptick there going forward.
Yeah, and I think, and I'm kind of looking for this. I don't think there's any question. And there's some things I saw in the Cleveland game, even in the last incompletion on 3rd and 4 before the 53-yard field goal to try and tie it at the end. There was something in that play that gives me a little hope for how far he's come. The pre-snap read was right on the money. He adjusted out of it, and the execution just wasn't there. Not on him, but on John Brown as receiver. John Brown said as much post-game.
Right.
And it's like the second time in a couple of weeks where one of the other players has said, I messed that up. Execution around him has got to be better. It's not just on Josh. There are some things he's doing pretty darn well, and it's not getting looked at or noticed because of the lack of execution around him.
I would agree with that to a certain extent, and I think that it's one of the reasons why I asked Coach McDermott today, is there value or merit in paring things down and maybe reducing options for a given play? Now, I'm not going to pretend to know how many different plays have multiple options, but we know in this era of RPOs that most of them have 2 in every play. Beyond that, option routes, sight adjusts, things of that nature, do we scale that back to foster better execution? Not just from the quarterback, but from the other 10 players on the field, chiefly the skill position players. Because with option routes, guys, as you know, you need your receiver and your quarterback to recognize and see the same thing and then make the same decision as to where the ball is going to be and execute that together to a T. And I think we've already seen examples this year where that has not happened. And so I do agree with you, Steve. I think Josh's pre-snap recognition of coverage, blitz, whatever the case might be, is pretty darn good. I think the next hurdle now for Josh is post-snap, because there is a blueprint out there, and New England put it out there in week 4. You send 6 or 7 at Josh, you can accelerate his internal clock and force him into bad decisions. Now, while he has improved in that area in terms of reducing turnovers, because all that pressure in week 4 had him throw 4 picks in the game against New England. You go to the Philadelphia game. They sent similar pressure. He wasn't successful. You can go to the Miami game. They sent more pressure at him. Fits and starts. There were some lulls in the offense. Eventually, they figure it out and win the game. But then last week, Cleveland sent a ton of pressure at Josh. 6 and 7 man blitzes at times, cover zero, things like that, just like New England did. And it forced the offense to be ineffective. That's going to keep happening until post-snap, Josh and this offense have answers and beat it. Until that happens, he should expect to see heavy pressure and his internal clock getting accelerated because of it.
We're on the line with Chris Brown. He is outside at the Bills practice on the grass practice field, field number 1 outside the Ad Pro Sports Training Center. And look, the Buffalo offensive issues are not all Josh Allen issues. And I'm sure the coaching staff spent the bulk of the last 2 days on the offensive side of the ball trying to find answers. Chris, based on what we saw last Sunday against Cleveland and really what I think they have at tight end, I think there might be some answers there with both Dawson Knox and Tyler Kroft. They've kind of moved around the edges of making those guys important parts of the offense. But I just feel like those two have something to add, something to help with the offensive struggle. What do you think?
I believe Dawson Knox is a matchup problem for opponents. And
yeah.
I asked Coach on Monday, what's the next step for him? And he said it's got to be consistency. I mean, again, last week, yes, he made some plays. He could have made more if he didn't drop the ball twice.
Right.
There were 2 plays that were to be made there that would move the sticks, keep the offense on the field, and he dropped both passes, both catchable balls, at least in my opinion. And so if you want to make him a bigger part of the offense, he's got to demonstrate in practice that he's going to catch everything you throw at him. So that's the step that he has to take. And, personally, I think if you're in a situation where decisions have to come quicker and the internal clock is accelerated for Josh, I think you have to turn to players that can give you answers faster. I don't know if there's anybody on the field that gets separation faster than Cole Beasley. And so I think he has to be looked upon as more of the hot route option going forward, too, because he gets separation faster than anybody on this team, in my opinion. So if you want to make somebody option 1 to be a sight adjust or a hot route, I think number 10 is probably your best answer.
Okay.
Does it say anything to you, Brownie, that the Bills willingly threw the ball 41 times last week in an effort to win a close ball game? I don't know if they would have done that last year.
Right. No, I understand your point, and I respect it, and I'm in favor of it, meaning run the ball more, better balance. Again, this is kind of going back to the conversation I had with you guys Monday when I was getting all hot and bothered. You have to, if you want to take some of the burden of the decision-making off of Josh Allen, you run the ball more. And I know Murph's going to say, boxes. Well, if all an opponent has to do is throw an 8-man box out there to keep you from running, well, then you're not a good NFL offense. So if there's an 8-man box, you got to come up with solutions and find ways to still gain enough yards to keep a defense honest. So when they put 8 in the box, they don't say, all right, here comes a pass. Let's get ready for that. And that's basically where we are.
Don't you start putting words in my mouth, Chris Brown. Thank you, Chris.
All right, Brownie.
I'm just reiterating your words.
Chris
Yeah,
Brown,
we'll see
Bills
ya.
Insider, BuffaloBills.com on the sidelines at practice today. 26 degrees out there.